Okay, hi Ms. Smith. I just want to start by saying that I saw Ben and Anthony yesterday at GameStop, and they told me they were getting Wipeout, so I hope they are both enjoying it right now. Alright, for my TED Talk, I'm going to be talking about the impact of Yao Ming and other Chinese athletes on both China and the US. Probably the most prominent example of a Chinese athlete having a huge international influence is Yao Ming, but actually the impact of the NBA in China first started in 1999 when the first Chinese national player was drafted, Wang Zizi or Wang Zhizhi, I'm not sure, but yeah, but actually the NBA didn't actually really take off until 2002 when Yao Ming was drafted with the first overall pick by the Houston Rockets. Ever since then, the NBA has become one of the biggest success stories of a business really expanding and taking off in China. The NBA is like probably the most successful and most influential American professional sports league in China today, with an estimated anywhere between 300 million to 450 million fans, and that number is growing every day. Probably the best example of the effect in the U.S. of having all these Chinese fans is at the Houston Rockets stadium where Yao Ming plays and where like millions of NBA fans in China are watching every day, is that there's actually like more Chinese advertisements in the stadium in Houston than English advertisements, because there's just tons of fans in China watching, streaming the game on their laptop and trying to watch Yao Ming play. And that's just an example of the commercial opportunities and the economic effect on China and on the U.S. And it works both ways, because the fact that the growing popularity of the NBA in China means that American players who can't quite make it in the NBA or are looking for something different can go play in China in the CBA, which is the Chinese Basketball Association, which has expanded hugely in popularity in recent years. Some other examples of the economic impact, for example, Li Ning, which is a big shoe company, a basketball shoe brand in China, now is starting to get lots of NBA players, are starting to sponsor lots of NBA players, which is something you would never have seen 10 or even 5 years ago. And just speaking from personal experience, when I went to China in 2008, which was right when the Olympics were happening and everyone was following the basketball games there and the Chinese national team and the U.S. team, there's basketball courts everywhere, just as many as you see in the U.S., just at parks in the cities. And I always just could find a pickup game and play with local kids or just local teenagers and just shoot around and play basketball, it's really become a global sport, and it's probably the most popular American sport in China right now, definitely. And this influence the NBA benefits, like I said, with the CBA, the Chinese Basketball Association, so it's benefiting the development of other professional leagues and other pro leagues of other professional sports in China. So that's opening up. That's, economic influence right there. Basically, this is all attributed to what is now known as the Yao Ming effect, which is the impact of these Chinese basketball players, and particularly Yao Ming, because he's the face of Chinese basketball, really, and he's the recognizable one both here in the U.S. and in China. But the Yao Ming effect, which basically has taken basketball to a more global scale and has really expanded in China. And examples of that now, it's still expanding, because just what happened with Jeremy Lin and Lin Sandy this year, the NBA was already huge in China, but that just took it to a whole nother level, and that would never have happened without Yao Ming as a forerunner to set that, set the pieces in place for that to happen.